Hello YouTube and welcome back to World of Warships with Wadres. And today I'm going to be talking about the second news release that has come out regarding the aircraft carrier rework for World of Warships. And it actually answers a handful of questions that I have been kind of looking for answers to for a while now that have also needed some answering. So I'm glad that they put out this news release, and without much further ado, I'm actually going to go straight ahead and get into them. Now, of course, there are going to be some overall changes to the balance that are going to be done over time. So that's just going to be a long drawn-out process overall, and yeah, not really going to go into that a whole lot. Regarding the matchmaker, when we get into the rework, however, and I'm going to... this is not going to affect me quite so much going into co-op matches, and you'll understand why in a little bit. However, for those of you who enjoy your random battles, once the 8.0 update goes live, you will see 1 to 2 aircraft carriers as a soft limit per team. However, if an excessive number of aircraft carriers is in the battle queue, you can see up to 3 aircraft carriers in a match per team. So, I would expect to see some teams just be thoroughly dominated by aircraft carriers, and yeah, I don't envy them in the slightest. It will be, now granted, I don't know if this reflects to co-op as well. They haven't really explained that, but for random battles, oh my god, I really do not want to be in any of those teams, if I have to be perfectly honest. However, scrolling down, this is not going to affect me too terribly being in co-op, because co-op battles, while we will be able to use the CVs in co-op, we will not have mirrored CV opponents. Instead, what would normally be a bot CV in co-op will be a battleship of equal tier. So, I can definitely see this being a very popular mode in which to just test out your aircraft carrier, get used to the mechanics of dodging flak, without having to deal with an enemy aircraft carrier on top of everything else. So this is actually going to be a very nice bonus and change, as far as I can see, to myself in a co-op match. So, yeah, while I may not be looking forward to the aircraft carrier rework, this is definitely something I will look forward to in regards to just trying to play aircraft carriers to begin with, and see how they work for myself, and see how I enjoy the gameplay once I actually get a chance to try it myself without going onto the public test servers. As far as other things go, we have the economics. And this is something that has been needed to be visited by Wargaming for quite an extensive amount of time. Note 1. Rewards for inflicting damage and destroying ships, as well as for capturing, defending, and blocking key areas, now corresponds to that of battleships. This is awesome. Aircraft carriers have needed improvements to their economy for as long as I can remember. So having these changes, having them earn credits, whatever, for doing damage, so on and so forth, at the same rate of battleships, is incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I can definitely say this will improve aircraft carrier quality of life dramatically. Now, the downside is that they will receive reduced rewards for spotting aircraft and ships, mainly because they are still very effective spotters. So, while they are seeing reduced earnings for spotting, the simple fact that they can still go clear to the other side of the map and spot out the entire enemy team before anybody else does make sense. It means that they cannot be rewarded quite so heavily for spotting and so on. And that's probably a good idea. It because trying to spot out enemies definitely takes aircraft carriers away from the role that they are supposed to fill in a match. Now, just coming down to the tech tree changes. They now split off of the destroyer branches on both the American and Japanese aircraft carrier lines. So, and part of their explanation for this is that they now play similar to the way destroyers play. I don't quite see that, but whatever. Okay. But the biggest thing is that they are removing the odd tier aircraft carriers. So now you only have the Hosho, Ryujo, and Shokaku and Hakuryu for the IJN line, and you have the Langley, Ranger, Lexington, and Midway for the US line. Now, one of the things that they are talking about doing is taking the odd tier carriers and reintroducing them as even tiers later on as auxiliary carrier possibilities, with greater support capability, or even the possibility to have aircraft that can go and capture control points that are otherwise uncontested. This is something that I would find rather interesting, especially knowing that in some cases an aircraft carrier can in fact be the last player on the map, and on top of having strike capability, it would be very nice to have the ability for your aircraft to go and capture control points if you're the last one on the map, and in really trying to save your own ass in a lot of ways. I can't tell you how many times I wish I had that capability in co-op matches. So this is definitely, if they move forward with it, that is definitely an improvement. They're also talking about the possibility of aircraft that can lay down limited smoke screens to cover ships that are under heavy fire, and so on and so forth. Aircraft carrier customization. Now, this is something that I was wondering about just the other day. And, well, they haven't exactly explained how the refunding system for current modules is going to be, but they at least go into what's being introduced and changed. First off, you have this Air Groups Mod 1, which increases the speed of aircraft as they return to the carrier. You've got the Engines Mod 1, which increases the boost time of aircraft carrier squadrons, which is amount of time, just more time that you can get to targets faster. Torpedo Bombers and Attack Aircraft Mod 1. These two increase the attack time, or the amount of time torpedo and attack aircraft can spend in the attack mode. Torpedo Bombers, Attack Aircraft, and Dive Bombers Mod 2. These respectively increase the HP of the respective aircraft, so they are more survivable, though I definitely see the Torpedo Bombers Mod 2 being taken more often than either of the others, just because Torpedo Bombers are essentially your more effective attack unit. Concealment System Mod 1 now affects aircraft as well as surface ships, so definitely a nice bonus there. Definitely, it means your aircraft are a little bit more survivable in that they aren't detected as far out. Flight Control Mod 1 accelerates the service time, so this reduces the turnaround of squadrons that do manage to make it back to the aircraft carrier intact. You have Flight Control Mod 2, which increases the cruise speed of aircraft squadrons. So that is also a nice bonus. It means that aircraft can get out to target faster. It will also mean, I would imagine, that the boosts are more effective, so just all around a decent module. And this one is a little bit more of a blanket as well, in that it increases the HP of a carrier's aircraft. So that one I can definitely be taken quite often as well. As far as the AA modules, AA Guns Mod 1 increases the number of flak explosions for mid and long range AA guns, and AA Guns Mod 2 is a little bit more I guess, utilitarian in that it increases the continuous damage of all AA modules. So both long, short, all three short, mid, and long-range AA guns will be boosted by AA Guns Mod 2. And it also increases the DPS of flak bursts. So I can definitely see AA Guns Mod 2 being a relatively common choice now. They just kind of hand-wave at unique modules, so I'm just going to do the same. Commander skills. This is another major change. Virtually all commander skills are getting revamped to either affect aircraft carriers, or even the aircraft carrier-specific skills are just completely being changed. Priority target now tells you how many ships are firing their AA batteries at your squadrons. Air supremacy reduces the amount of time aircraft take to be serviced. Improved engine boost. This could probably be used in regards to one of the modules mentioned earlier, and just have a nice long duration boost to your aircraft speed. Last gasp fully restores the boost of the final squadron, or the final strike flight of a squadron, which I can definitely be seeing as very utilitarian for a aircraft carrier who focuses on strikes. Improved engines increases the speed just as a blanket skill, definitely something that could be universally applied. Jack of all trades now reduces the reload time of both ship and squadron consumables, which that could be useful, potentially. Not sure if I'll take it, but I can see in competitive circumstances why it would be taken. Torpedo acceleration is pretty much the same as it was before, not changing very much. Adrenaline rush, about the same. It just increases the speed of aircraft carrier squadrons, as opposed to reducing the reload time. Survivability expert now affects aircraft HP as well, though obviously to a much smaller effect than that of ship HP. Aircraft armor reduces continuous damage to aircraft. Demo expert increases fire chance, but aside from that, it's really not changing all that much. Basically the same as it was before. The only thing is it's now being extended to rockets. Superintendent doesn't affect aircraft squadrons. Vigilance does not affect squadrons. Sight stabilization, it reduces the amount of time that it takes for aircraft carrier reticles to reach their narrowest or smallest or most accurate. So definitely some nice utility there. Radio location now works on aircraft carrier squadrons. This can work late match for random battles if you have a destroyer who's hiding off in the boonies. So it can definitely be useful in that regard, though I'm not sure how this will help me out in co-op, if at all. Probably won't take it myself. And concealment expert, again, becomes a little bit more universal, affecting aircraft and ships now. Now for the big one. Skills affecting AA defense. Direction center for fighters. This is a skill that no longer affects the spotter aircraft of aircraft carriers, surface ships. It adds an additional fighter to the consumable, and it reduces the activity time. So basically it's an increase in efficiency for a reduced duration. Could be interesting to see how that works out, though Basic firing training increases continuous damage of short, mid, and long-range AA guns. And the advanced firing training skill increases the DPS of flak bursts, which, in that regard, the AFT really only works if you have aircraft that are routinely flying through your flak. Yeah, I don't see that being all that useful unless you have really unskilled aircraft carrier commanders, which that may be the case early on, but as the game develops, I think it's going to lose a lot of its utility. And of course, last but not least, you have the manual fire control for AA armament, which reduces the amount of time it takes to switch the side focus of your air sectors, your air defense sector, and it improves how well it can reinforce the other side. Overall, given that CVs on the enemy team will not be visible in co-op anymore, I'm thinking a lot of my AA spec ships are going to no longer be using any of these skills. So it's probably a good thing that they are offering free respec for all commanders once the patch goes live, because a lot of these skills on my ships are pretty much going to be going away for ships that I had as very dedicated AA ships. Darn. I loved the Hindenburg as an AA ship too. Oh well. Commanders that have unique skills that can affect aircraft are also getting changes. Those who have Survivability Expert now affect aircraft with a small HP bonus. Those who have a bonus to Demo Expert now have bonuses to aircraft as well. And those who have bonuses to Adrenaline Rush will also affect aircraft. So definitely some nice changes in that regard as well. The only signal that really changes in its capability is the November Echo Set 7, and this simply goes from increasing the efficiency of AA by 10% up to a continuous increase, a increase to continuous damage of short, mid, and long range AA units, as well as increasing the DPS of flak bursts. Achievements are changing slightly. You have currently AA Defense Expert and King of the Air. They will no longer be available for earning, but they may be back in the future after they have been adjusted with different requirements. And the requirements for obtaining aircraft carrier commander emblems also remain unchanged. However, they will be modified for aircraft carrier in further updates. Campaigns. These are some pretty dramatic changes as well, affecting your ability to progress through campaigns. Science of Victory, shooting down an aircraft, now becomes first to detect a torpedo. Destroying an aircraft carrier now becomes shooting down 12 enemy aircraft. Inflicting 1,000 damage to an aircraft carrier now becomes Confederate. So that one's actually going to be a little bit harder. Set enemy ships on fire 5 times in a single battle now becomes 3 times in a single battle, and this one was previously completable by aircraft carriers and is still completable by aircraft carriers. Same for acquiring spotting ribbons. The numbers now dropped from 5 to 3. And shooting down 10 aircraft in a single battle now becomes shooting down 7 enemy aircraft in a single battle. Honorable Service also gets some changes. Becoming the first to spot 2 aircraft carriers now becomes earning high caliber achievement. Acquiring King of the Air, the no longer valid achievements, now becomes destroying 100 enemy aircraft, which I think is actually going to be a substantially harder achievement to earn. Destroying, or actually substantially easier depending on how you look at it. Destroying 35 in a single battle with a cruiser or battleship now becomes destroying 25. Spotting 50 torpedoes in a aircraft carrier now becomes spotting 10 ships in aircraft carriers. Destroying 3 aircraft carriers now becomes destroying 10 enemy aircraft by destroyers. The Yamamoto Isoroku campaign goes from causing 80,000 damage due to spotting down to 50,000 damage due to spotting in an aircraft carrier. Hitting enemies with torpedoes 20 times in a single battle drops to 10 times in a single battle. Acquiring the, again, no longer valid achievements becomes acquiring 3 high caliber or Confederate. Acquiring 150 spotted ribbons now becomes 100 for aircraft carriers. Spotting 500 torpedoes now becomes Arsonist, Liquidator, or Witherer achievements, which is understandable considering, by my understanding, aircraft carriers can no longer actually spot torpedoes. Destroying 300 aircraft now becomes destroy 200. Shoot down 30 aircraft in a single battle with battleships now is 20. 40 aircraft in a single battle is 25 with cruisers, and inflicting 350,000 damage to battleships as an aircraft carrier is now 230,000. And of course, the Admiral Halsey campaign, you get 150,000 damage in a single victorious battle with aircraft carriers and cruisers, now becoming 150,000 damage to enemy ships only in cruisers. Among the top 3 earners in team, and shooting down 12 aircraft in a single battle now is still top 3, but shooting down 10 aircraft in battleships and cruisers. Hitting enemies with bombs or torpedoes 100 times now becomes 75 times in aircraft carriers, and shooting down 250 aircraft with aircraft carriers now becomes shooting down 150. Anyway, overall, these are definitely some pretty broad spectrum changes. I'm glad they took the time to go into detail in this very, very informative article. And I just, I definitely am glad they took the time to go into all of this very detailed, I'll even go so far as to say minutia information. So definitely some very good information overall. And I think it might actually make the 8.0 update, well, again, not exactly desirable on my part, something that may not be quite so bad to look forward to now that I have some of this information in my arsenal. Anyway, on that note, I hope you all found this video informative, and I hope I can continue to provide further good information moving forward with future patches and this patch in general. Anyway, on that note, I shall let you all go. Take care, happy hunting, and I will catch you all again later.